The torch of Kazakh boxing, once held by the fearsome Gennady Golovkin, has left a void in the middleweight division, a division crying out for a dominant successor. However, one man knocking at the door is Janibek Alimkhanuly, a Southpaw enigma wielding the dangerous Qazaq Style. With an amateur pedigree boasting 300 wins and only 8 defeats, along with being a unified middleweight champion, you could say he's just about ready to stake his claim. Though he has not reached the legend of his predecessor, Janibek possesses the tools to become a nightmare for anyone between 160 and 168 pounds. Today, I'm going to look at his unorthodox style and dissect why so many opponents find him uncomfortable to fight. So on that note, let's get right into it. Let's unpack the mystery behind Janibek's signature style, the Qazaq Style. But here are the words of the champ himself in using the style. It's using 4 different styles, in all 4 corners of the ring, which means boxing in close range, moving forward and backward, punching and counter-punching. This is what Qazaq style of boxing means. In essence, Alimkhanuly describes a style that strives for wholeness in my opinion. He aims to be a complete fighter, adept at all aspects of the sweet science. Offense and defense, close quarters brawling, and even long range control. And this approach offers a distinct advantage: adaptability. Unlike fighters who rely heavily on a singular style, Janibek can adjust his tactics mid-fight to counter his opponent's strength. It embodies that philosophy of Bruce Lee, be like water. As cliche as that quote is, it's true. And this Qazaq style isn't just a catchy name, it reflects a strategic approach that allows the Kazakh to be prepared for any opponent. But let's look deeper into how all these 4 pillars of Janibek's Qazaq style gives him such success in the ring. As a southpaw, Janibek throws a wrench into some of his opponent's plans with this stance, and he utilises a bladed stance but with a twist. And unusual for maybe some Kazakh fighters is that he fights out of a lower lead hand L-guard shell stance. And this approach might even raise some eyebrows for southpaws, who traditionally favour using a higher lead hand or high guard. However, the tide is turning, and we've seen more lefties, including the likes of Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis, use this, and even past greats like Whittaker, finding great success with this unconventional stance for a southpaw. But the benefits for Janibek are clear. This stance allows him seamless transition between offense and defense, so he can quickly switch to a lower lead hand to unleash powerful jabs along with feints while entering range, which immediately provides him an offensive advantage in my opinion. Despite a tendency to put more weight on that front foot, when advancing, his overall footwork remains excellent, granting him mobility in any direction, as he does maintain good balance between his feet, while because he is a southpaw, he often does lean his head to his left to avoid incoming jabs and even right hands from orthodox fighters, which overall contributes to his overall defense, which I'll explore later. But overall, I feel this stance and approach from Janibek gives him something different and unique by the time it comes to fight night. Now for Janibek's jab, it is a weapon of mass deception, and his southpaw stance with a lower lead hand allows him to sneak jabs from under his opponent's vision with ease at times. This up jab disrupts the rhythm and occupies their focus, creating perfect openings for his next move. Quite often, it includes looping left hands behind the jab, finding its way around the guard.
Left landed moments ago, there's another left hand.
He also frequently doubles up in the jab, keeping opponents guessing at long range.
But he's still able to land it because...
While sometimes after throwing out the jab, he throws a sneaky right hook around the other side of the guard, further unsettling his opponent.
The punch in that first round, his
amateur career was 2016 Olympian.
Well, Janibek isn't just a one-trick pony with his jab, as sometimes he'll step in with the jab, channeling his inner George Foreman with a powerful shotgun jab.
Before being stunned for Foreman here in the second round.
Losses. 300 heavy-handed power of Janibek.
Opponent.
Where some of his true mastery lies in using feints to set up his jab, as he keeps his opponents guessing with his constant movement with his guard, feinting with both his hands and even using foot feints before launching the jab out of nowhere.
Reacted to his feints. When you have your opponent reacting to your feints, now you know you're in control of him.
While beyond creating openings with the jab, Janibek's feints also draw out counters, as his feints lure his opponent into throwing out a jab or an attack, creating the golden opportunity for him to counterpunch. And this combination of the deceptive jab and masterful feints turns him into a puzzle for his opponents, as they can never be sure what's coming next, making it incredibly difficult to develop a defensive strategy against him. For me, Janibek isn't just a gifted fighter, he's a chess master in the ring. And with his high amateur experience, his high ring IQ shines through in his ability to set up his opponents with precise strikes based on their fighting style. For example, fighters using a high guard constantly move out to the outside position, and this is where Janibek will intelligently target the body. First by throwing a jab to the guard, followed by a powerful left cross to the body.
Brandt's offense cannot get started without that left hand.
Rob Brandt sets up that left hand again, working behind that. There it is.
Yep.
This strategy can wear down their guard, eventually forcing them to drop it, and when Janibek sees a slight opening, he unleashes a looping left hook upstairs, catching them off guard. While for many orthodox fighters who circle to their left or towards Janibek's right, he eventually works out and capitalizes on their predictable movement and throws a looping left hook or sharp lead right hand, exploiting the opening created by their circling pattern.
But one of the things that Janibek is doing that's really good is he knows that Rob Brandt is moving to his right.
Yep.
So he's hitting Rob Brandt where he's going to end up, not where he is. So as Rob goes to the right, Janibek is already shooting a straight left right there, and it lands on the chin more times than it doesn't.
Well, in this matchup of Alimkhanuly and Brandt.
And this is something orthodox fighters can sometimes fall victim to when facing southpaws, thinking they have to continually move one way. But if you're facing a high ring IQ southpaw, they're going to work this out eventually and throw the punch in the trajectory of where you are moving to.
Straight left hand, right down the middle of it.
Janibek doesn't also just rely on brute force alone. As his signature looping left hand is a versatile weapon, he does throw it in two different ways. Obviously, if opponents use a high guard or open up with the jab, he uses that looping motion to bypass the opponent's guard entirely. While sometimes he'll throw this looping left just through the middle, which can even split through the high guard, causing significant damage once again.
Another left hook, and McClellan is down.
While in terms of Janibek's right hand, he uses mastery of feints again, setting up the use of his lead right hook. And he uses feints to occupy the opponent's guard down the middle, and then throws a surprise right hook around the guard or even to the body, which then creates further openings up top. While Janibek isn't faced by southpaw opponents either, he understands the guard and positioning and tendency for them to bend to their right.
Look at his hand placement, terrible defense, leaning back, trying to get away from shots, putting himself in no man's land.
While if they're to throw out their jab, it leaves them open over the top if he's able to slip the punch. And this creates an opening for him to throw those looping lefts over the top, followed by powerful right hooks, leveraging the force for extra power.
Throwing a shot, he found the opening.
Oh, and there's a short right hand and a devastating knockdown.
And Janibek's ability to set up these traps, based on the opponent's stance and style, makes him a truly formidable opponent, and he's a fighter who can outthink and outmaneuver his opponents. Janibek's defensive skills are often overshadowed by his offensive prowess, but that's a disservice to his well-rounded skill set in my opinion. But here's a breakdown of some of his defensive strategies. One is just his mobility and able to reset himself. When opponents get aggressive, Janibek utilises quick linear shuffles backward, and this allows him to create space and reset his position and launch his counterattacks.
You have to find a way to land your power punches.
You know, and Dignam was quick to point that.
While probably the most impressive part of his defense is using his L-guard shell stance, and he uses this to roll the lead shoulder, mainly to deflect jabs and hooks, but also right hands too.
He just like kind of going through the motions. Alexander's just not throwing enough punches.
Middleweight.
While he catches backhands with his left hand.
I got it.
keep going.
While he also employs smart waist movement to slip to his left and avoid incoming punches that way too. On the surface he might not look like he could be able to carry out these moves, but he's very efficient, considering he's more of an offense first fighter. While Janibek also isn't afraid to adjust his guard depending on the situation, and against more aggressive opponents you'll also see him switch to a high guard defense to deflect and block incoming shots down the middle. However, Janibek's effective defense isn't just about staying safe, it's the foundation for his lethal counterpunching. By creating space and deflecting punches, he opens up the opportunities to unleash those counters of his own. As discussed earlier, Janibek's Qazaq style emphasises aggressive counterpunching, but let's explore how he uses defense to create opportunities for his offense. Janibek's signature move is that inside slip to his left, and this manoeuvre allows him to evade an incoming punch while also creating a space for a devastating left-hand counter.
And clearly effective, and he gets snapped back with a straight left hand.
However, he will usually throw it behind his jab first.
It's a lot of movement to try to stay away.
With a southpaw, if you're right-handed.
Oh, there's a left hand.
But what he really likes to throw is a powerful left-hand uppercut that can end the fight in an instant.
Trying to bring Janibek to him, and if Janibek poses,
Janibek with the left uppercut, and then a series of left hooks.
And while his uppercut is lethal, Janibek's counterpunching isn't limited to headhunting, as he also targets the body with it, keeping his opponents guessing and creating openings for further attacks.
I'm on so early.
I think he's learning. And there's a left hand again.
Against Southpaws, we've seen Janibek rely on his excellent timing, as he waits for them to commit with their lead hand before throwing perfectly timed counters in between their punches. While Janibek's footwork plays a crucial role in his counterpunching, sometimes a quick linear step back creates the space he needs to unleash a counter uppercut or quick burst combination, as he masters the art of that pendulum, transitioning from defense to offense in a flash. Something very common amongst Eastern Bloc fighters, while Janibek's arsenal extends beyond the uppercut, as he looks to throw the lead right hook when his opponent opens up with the lead hand. However, he mainly uses it as a follow-up punch after throwing the left hand, using the transfer of weight from the right to generate even more power for his follow-up left hook.
He's looking for that.
Top with the left hand from the... Another...
And this move is reminiscent of the technique used by pound-for-pound star Naoya Inoue, but from a southpaw stance.
Bayless has to keep a close eye on him if he makes it out of this round.
Overall, Janibek's counterpunching isn't just about reacting, it's a strategic art form. By using his defense to create openings and timing his counters with precision, he turns defense into a powerful offensive weapon. This makes him a constant threat in the ring, keeping his opponents on edge and ever cautious to commit. Janibek excels at mid-range fighting. He's no stranger to infighting, as he's very capable of close quarters battles within the phone booth. But here's how he navigates these tight spaces. As I've mentioned before, Janibek doesn't shy away from throwing left uppercuts, even sometimes doubling and tripling it up, and quite often can find openings to land right down the middle on his opponent's chin, causing significant damage.
For Janibek.
While he also understands the importance of positioning when on the inside, as if you watch his footwork, you'll often see him creep into an outside position as a southpaw to give his powerful left hand more leverage and land it more effectively. Janibek doesn't abandon his jab in close range either. He uses hard double jabs primarily to occupy his opponent, to get himself in an outside position, or to create openings for more powerful follow-up shots. While he also utilises less conventional but effective tactics in the clinch, or should I say the dark arts of infighting, and these include subtle shoulder shoves to create the space for him to launch an attack, or sometimes he'll use excellent forearm control, allowing him to set up his left uppercut but also change angle to tee off with his free hand.
High on the temple. That's why you saw the legs buckle from Indom.
And it's clear Janibek's infighting isn't just about brute force, it's a calculated strategy. as he uses positioning, control tactics, well-timed punches to dominate in those close quarters, leaving his competitors helpless. While he may not be on the same level as his Kazakh idol in Golovkin, Janibek possesses a significant ability to cut off the ring and apply pressure to his opponents. And here's what he does. For the most part, he excels at trapping even mobile opponents, and he doesn't rely solely on brute force like some pressure fighters, as his ideal scenario is to herd his opponent into the ropes or into the corner. And once there, he can unleash his vicious and quick combinations, or look to try and draw out an attack so he can counter you. But the key to Janibek's pressure game is his jab, as he uses this to constantly push his opponent back, whether it be with power or even slight probes or up jabs. While if the opponent does manage to get away from the corner, he'll use a quick L step to his left to maintain the momentum and control the space to continually push them back. You can tell due to his amateur pedigree he understands the fundamentals of cutting off the ring, as he employs that classic technique, mirroring his opponent's lateral movement. If they move left, he steps right. If they move right, he steps left, effectively preventing them from circling around him, forcing them to engage or to retreat backward. It's also important to note he's always in front of them in range, applying that constant mental pressure on them, which quite often saps away their energy, and therefore lets Janibek unleash his potent offense.
On the way in.
Left hand, sharpshooting, backs him up into that corner. And here comes the combination punching from Janibek Alimkhanuly.
As you can probably tell by now, Janibek is a far cry from a one-note fighter. Beyond his sharp up jabs and counterpunching, he's a brilliant combination puncher with deceptively quick hands, where he unleashes lightning fast combinations with surprising power. He excels at throwing punches around the guard, particularly when his opponent is pinned against the ropes and forced to cover up. But the thing for me that makes Janibek's combination so good is that even if he hits the guard, it creates an opening for him to attack somewhere else. And that is the mark of someone who knows how to use good combination punching, in my opinion.
Just a matter of time.
Oh, big shot comes in, and another. Oh, and the uppercut floors him, and it's over.
But Janibek's most dangerous weapon isn't just his technique, it's his killer instinct. He's a natural predator and ability to sense weakness and capitalize on it ruthlessly. When he sees an opening, he doesn't hesitate to unleash a fight-ending combination. Opponents can't afford to relax for a second, as any mistake can lead to a devastating finish.
Uppercut again! Oh my!
Even the most formidable fighters have areas for improvement. Here are some areas I see people exploiting in the future, or areas he can improve. First up, his weight distribution. At times as Janibek comes forward, he can lean too heavily on that front foot, particularly when pursuing an opponent, and this can leave him vulnerable to counters, especially uppercuts, as he enters into range.
Fifth round, we started telling him, push him down, push him.
And maybe he just gets too overconfident at times, as he does use that L-guard shell stance and shoulder roll to provide good defense, but there are vulnerabilities from that southpaw position. He can occasionally get caught by lead left hooks over the top of the shoulder, or right hands down the middle if he doesn't turn quick enough, if his left hand isn't positioned correctly. Well, sometimes he even just gets caught out with unnecessary jabs from that L-guard stance. It is important to remember, although these are potential weaknesses, Janibek has proven his ability to be successful with this current style. And I do believe if he's able to elevate these areas, he'll solidify himself as a dominant force in the divisions around him. Janibek Alimkhanuly is more than just a rising star now. He's a puzzle waiting to be solved, and his unique Qazaq style emphasises the adaptability, deception and aggressive counterpunching that has bewildered opponents and starting to earn him a loyal following. While his unorthodox L-guard stance and occasional leaning might present vulnerabilities, his well-rounded skill set and ferocious killer instinct make him a threat to any opponent in the ring. As he continues to progress facing the top competition at 160 to 168 pounds, this is where we'll see the true test of his abilities. Will he adapt and conquer, or will his unconventional style find its limits? One thing's for certain though, Janibek is a must-watch fighter, and the future of the middleweight division, or even super middleweight division, promises nothing to be short of thrilling when he gets that opportunity. This has been Jamie from Boxing Life. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinion on Janibek Style. Do you think he can beat the top champions from 160 to 168 pounds? I'd love to know. If you want more like this, why not check out one of these style breakdowns? As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.